Good afternoon from Kirksville, Missouri. This is Rantin Randy's Rant, and I'm your host, Randy Curvin. I also will mention, starting off, I will also be sharing this on Twitter today as I send it to Facebook. So, all right, we've got one person out there already. So maybe let's get started into this shit. First off, it's time to torture Donnie. I've been looking forward to this. How about between the eyes? It's almost like, he's got a green or red nose. Let's try that. There we go. He looks more natural that way, doesn't he? I wish I could make it grow. All right. I'll get back to that in a little while. Oh, let's start off with last night. Donnie is against democratic forces of the Kurds in Syria. He's been using Syrian and Russian talking points along with backing up Turkey on what they did, and it amounts to an ethnic cleansing that he wants to call a cleanup. The man has no idea what he's doing. And then Fox Spews, Neil Cavoto, and Judge Apollitano, or whatever his name is, had to tell Neil that if he does this thing at G7 at the down at Doral, excuse me, we just ate a few minutes ago, that is an emolument, which actually it's two, federal and or domestic and foreign. And that's why Democrats are urging people like Macron and Germany and England to book elsewhere. That way they're not helping Donnie self-deal to himself. All right, got to do that. Because this is what that is about. He's self-dealing. If he doesn't make a nickel, the federal government's going to have to upgrade Doral to hold this event. So in a way, he is calling on the taxpayer to pay for upgrading his facility. Even if he doesn't make a penny, taxpayers have spent that money, which is against the law. Number two is that's like world advertisement for Bedbug City down there. And I'll get to that later on. CNN. Giuliani, just like Michael Flynn, was pushing the Trump regime to grant a visa to a Ukrainian official promising dirt on the Democrats, and that was Shokin, the corrupt prosecutor in the Ukraine. That's very interesting. And I wanted to mention this right off for my friends out there. It was brought to my attention, and we have paper ballots here in Missouri. We went from the ones when we first came here in 2002, it was the paper ones with the hanging chads. I don't know what caused them to get away from that, but we have all paper ballots. So there is something that's leaving a voting track. As far as I know, they count them in a machine, but those paper ballots have to be turned in to the state. So there's a record out there of them. Hello, Tina, and hello, Bonnie. All right. Our Saturday crowd, there's 4 people out there, and 2 of them were talking to me. I like that. on Rachel last night. Julianne, Rudy Tooty Giuliani or Giuliani. Giuliani took that Lev Parnas with him when he went to George H.W. Bush's funeral. That's how long he's been hanging around with a man born in Soviet Russia. Oh, that's a bunch of shit. Yesterday, three of the defendants in the pickup that they had made over this violation of Federal Election Commission was all have been let go except, or let me just go through what happened. Igor Fruman was released on $1 million bond. Still in custody. Whew, I need to wake up and have some more of this coffee. Lev Parnas is still in custody. The others have been released on bond. And I will also say, I hadn't gotten to fully study this, but Lev Parnas has been connected to the Colombo crime family. That's interesting, isn't it? They're all hanging around with Giuliani, Michael Flynn, and all these people have been hanging around with the mob. And I already mentioned that he's Soviet born. Let me flip over to the other side, which is CNN side. Let's see if I got anything. No, I didn't get time to do that because I ended up going to bed at 1:30 in the morning. And that's part of the reason I'm a little dingy today, so hang with me. Followed the money. This was on Rachel. Between Turkey and Russia and Syria and Ukraine, this is an idiot drunk with power, Donnie, of course. And like we've all been saying for a little while now, he's hopped up on Adderall or some drug because he does not act like a normal human being. Dmitry Firtash is back in the news. And if you'll remember, and Rachel was explaining, the U.S. has been trying to expedite him over here to face charges that he's been fighting for years. Firtash is connected to the Russian mob. And that's also who Giuliani was working with in Ukraine or in Austria. That's where he's been. I don't understand how he can appear in courts over there over Biden dirt, is what it amounts to, and Joe D. Venanova and Victoria, pardon me on this, the pronunciation, Toin Singh are vocal supporters of Trump that work on Fox News, have worked with Giuliani. Lev Parnas was hired as a translator for that work. And of course, those two lawyers are Fox pundit or TV lawyers. And Giuliani was paid $500,000 by Parnas. He's claiming it was paid because he has some company that was doing work. But again, Parnas is in jail right now because he couldn't make his bond. All right, or couldn't make his bail. This story gets darker and darker. But wait, there's more. Pro-Trump super PAC, America First, action, multiple campaign complaints. Federal contractors are not allowed to donate to political campaigns, and they've been caught doing that. Which they came back. A man named Perkins is quickly getting everything straightened out on that. If they hadn't have been caught, they wouldn't have been straightening it out. And that doesn't speak well of someone that got a federal contract because of who? Because Donnie's in office, and probably this is a buddy of theirs for the Republican Party that got the contract. Talk about corruption. You can't get any more corrupt than they are. Hello, Sue. Glad to see you. I'm starting to wonder myself, Sue. I mean, my gosh, every time you turn around, it's another Russian. And of course, they're our friends. Donnie will tell you. And this also, with the federal contracts, this hits at a bad time. The FEC is toothless. They're minus one person on that board. They can hold a meeting, but they have to dismiss the meeting because they don't have enough people on the board. Trump Doral National has a history of bed bug infestations. Just the place to hold the G7 summit. Let's hope the whole world gets, bed bugs. Thanks to Donnie. Eric Linder was a plaintiff in a lawsuit. Rachel Show had pictures of Mr. Linder, and after I forgot what suite he was in, those bungalows. He was in one of those, and you should have seen the bed bugs got all over his neck and his arms. Just a place to hold something like that, huh? All right. I'll try to go through this pretty quickly because it is Saturday. Doral was where the video of him killing Obama and all these other people and CNN and ABC and all these networks, that was Doral. I've heard that he's trying to deny it. Something goes on at his resort and he doesn't know anything about it. Damn lying again, Donnie. Hello, Sue. And I figured out from you being there watching my Facebook, I figured out you're Sue S. So I'm glad that we figured that out. All right. And another strange thing, we know how far back it goes that Donnie at the G7 was talking about using Doral for the G7 in 2020. And that was the first time the mayor had even been contacted. Well, they haven't been contacted yet. There's plans that have to be made for things like that. And he first heard about it at the G7. So they don't even check. Oh, that's right. They don't have to. He's president and you're not. Let's see. I think this one was from Cuomo, testimony of George Kent. Giuliani tried to get a visa. That I was talking about before. That's how it gets repeated if I put it on the same page. It was Viktor Shokin, the corrupt prosecutor in Ukraine, through Trump's State Department. They turned him down. But still, why were they trying to, Giuliani even contacting the State Department about a corrupt, oh, that's right, They're getting rid of corruption, so they wanted to bring in that corrupt Shokin. Victor Shokin. This was an abuse of power as well as what he has proposed by setting up G7 at Doral. Senator Blumenthal talked to Chris Cuomo last night. Follow the facts. Trump himself said even China should investigate Biden and his son. There is a resolution in the House on Tuesday, October 22nd at 3 p.m. This would prevent Trump from doing 2020 G7 at his resort without the consent of Congress. So we'll see how that goes on the 22nd. And after that, I took a break and watched Bill Maher. I won't be attaching his new rules that I put out there. I already put it out in the meme. Everybody can see it. I got it on Rant and Randy's Rant, the true patriots. And he said something that I thought was good. The only corruption that Donnie is upset about is when he isn't in on it. That is so true. All right, moving along. Trump GOP growing divide as impeachment support increases. Gallup poll. Should Trump be impeached and removed from office? And I'll tell you 2 different dates. Yesterday it was at 52%, 46% said no. In June it was for yes, 45%. No was 53%. And that number is not going to go down on yes. It's going to go up as we discover more and more through the House investigation and depositions right now. Let me read this before I start reading it. Oh, I just want to throw this in today. What the hell? What the hell is going on with gas prices? Here, over I believe it was last Monday, gas was $2.21 a gallon. Yesterday it was $3.37. Or I mean, the day before yesterday it was $2.37. Yesterday it was $2.32. It's a lot of gouging going on. They're not offering any kind of reason why it went up from 221 to 337. And in fact, over here at Hy-Vee, where Grace and I get our drugs, it was 239, and at Murphy's it was 237. Day before yesterday. All right, this morning we'll get them. This morning, the rats are deserting a sinking ship. Look at the resignations. Rick Perry tried to change 2 board members, a Ukrainian gas company. One was a pro-Trump person, supporter, and the other was a pro-Russian. Yeah, that's just what you need on that board. Replace a couple of honest people with, let's get some corrupt people in there. And what he did, Perry announced it, and he's got a 4-minute video out there. And of course, Trump is thanking him for his good work. And he's moving on to the private sector. Yeah. Yeah, he thinks he's going to get out of testifying, as he will be called. And another thing, even though they haven't been successful with it, either one of them, Giuliani and Flynn both were working on sending Gulen back to Turkey. The cleric, they both wanted that. And that's going all the way back before they supposedly fired Flynn for lying to Pence. Yeah. And lo and behold, Erdogan and Putin will meet on October 22nd at the place where they held the Olympics. I guess they want to high five each other for the way they've been using the useful idiot. You can't make this shit up. And basically what they did is they outthought Trump. Well, that's not hard at all when you think about it, because the man can hardly concentrate on anything. He's so worried about his whole little world is falling in on him. And he doesn't want to quit his corruption. He just wants to keep it up. Do it in public, and then there's nothing wrong with it. And I wanted to kind of look at this. I think it's good news for my schoolmates. They are no longer defending the orange stain, trying to end our democracy in our country. And that's another thing, and I'll come back to this subject over and over. And that's basically why I wanted to get into with my partner on the West Coast, Tina Matthews, is music can bring us together. That's something that we all still have in common, is music. And it's something I feel like we can find common ground in music. Maybe we can find common ground in some other areas as all this is falling in on Donnie, because that's what it's doing, because they're no longer angry and defending him and all that. All right, move on. There's talk of a secret ballot that would take power from McConnell in the Senate if they would do this. They would only need 5 Republicans to do this. That way they can vote against Donnie in impeachment and not have their identity known. And, you know, all you need is a certain amount of, don't worry about the phone, leave the phone alone. There's no need to answer a phone when you have caller ID, and it's probably my supposed girlfriend from Pakistan wanting to talk to me on the phone again, because it was twice yesterday. And I picked up yesterday and I said, I ain't got time for your shit, and just hung up on her. Because it was the same phone number. Yeah, you would only need 5 Republicans. And guess what Rand Paul is up to? He wants to block the House resolution and defends Trump. In other words, Rand, there's nothing wrong with what he did in Syria. Are you shitting me? Damn. How dumb can you be? And the U.S. brokered ceasefire, which Turkey said is not a ceasefire, it was a pause. Turkey broke that on Friday morning with their Turkish-backed forces. Well, that's about all I got, folks. Um, again, let's get Donnie where it hurts. There we go. He's always pulling stuff out of there, when he has a press conference. And I would be neglecting my duties. Damn it, Donnie. All right, folks. I'll let you go for today, but not before I remind you, call Congress. We know what must be done. We're starting to, the GOP is starting to divide. And as more comes out, and I mean, this has been action-packed weeks in the House in the deposition. So more good things are to come of this. But remind them who put them in there and what we want done. We want the man out. All right. Peace, resist, persist, and insist. You call this number and remind them of what their duty is in this democracy. All right. Y'all have a good day. Let's see. I'll look at some of these before I go. I'll see them in real time when I come back and view this. And like I said, this will also be available on Twitter. Liker, I still hadn't figured out how to go there. Periscope, I hadn't figured it out, but I'm trying to expand all this. It's just more difficult with my Facebook to do anything because I can't send it up here. If I could send it up here, then I can send it to Twitter. All right. Hello, Lisa from Pennsylvania. Yeah, layers and layers. And Donnie's upset if he can't be in on that corruption. That's the only corruption he goes after is when he can't be a part and make money on it. All right. Have a good evening. And unless the shit really hits the fan, if it does, I'll be on Facebook tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll be on Facebook on Monday. Have a good weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Blue Dot family, we are the guardians of liberty, and we are going to make a difference in 2020. Bye-bye. Share this shit.